Welcome to Story Mode. This is the definitive story of the Mafia Videogame Series. Let's begin. We start in 1904 in Sicily, where we meet Enzo Favara, working in the sulfur mine with his best friend Gaetano. Enzo was born in 1887, grew up in poverty, and eventually his father sold him to the mine owner, Ruggero Spadaro, for $100. Enzo and Gaetano have a hidden box of cash, personal items, and a postcard from Enzo's uncle in Empire Bay, deep in the mine. They plan to save enough money to escape Sicily and move there.
I'm going far away from this place, Gaetano. Never coming back. Bastards would have to kill me first.
As the pair work another shift in the mine, it begins to collapse due to earthquakes and the gas leaking inside. Gaetano drops their box and goes back, but is buried inside along with it. Enzo blames Damiano, who sent them down there despite being warned of the shaking. They have a knife fight, and after Enzo slashes Damiano's face, another earthquake occurs, giving Enzo the chance to escape the mining camp. He ends up hiding in a barn later that night, but is found by Damiano and his men. Just as he is going to kill Enzo, Don Bernardo Torrisi shows up, ridiculing Damiano for the havoc on his land. He explains that Enzo has a debt to pay, but since he's on his land, there is no debt, sending Damiano away.
On my land? You want nothing. You tell your boss, the boy is under my protection.
Torrisi brings in Enzo for a place to sleep and eat in exchange for work. Torrisi associates Cesare Massaro and Luca Trapani show Enzo the ropes of working for the Don. Enzo also begins a relationship with Bernardo's daughter, Isabella. They know Torrisi would never approve and see each other in secrecy, almost being caught a few times by Tino Russaro, the consigliere.
What are you doing? You have a woman here. Get her out of here.
There's nobody here.
Don't lie to me.
I said there's nobody.
The three men then go to meet Niccolo and Leon Galante to help them steal some crates of wine. Sometime later in 1905, Baron Raffaella Fontanella and his son Gagnaro arrive to Torrisi's house. Torrisi wants Isabella and Gagnaro to marry, sweetening his relationship with the Baron who owns most Torrisi and Spadaro land. Enzo chaperones a drive with the pair when members of Paolo Messina's gang kidnap both of them. Enzo is able to save Isabella and later goes to Messina's camp to kill the members and Paolo himself, rescuing Gagnaro.
You again.
Torrisi then asks Enzo to end Ludovici, who planned to have Gagnaro kidnapped in the first place. The next day, Enzo takes the oath and is officially brought into the Torrisi family.
Welcome, Enzo.
In 1906, the family gets into the counterfeiting business to sell fake cash to the Americans. To do this, Enzo, Cesare, and Leo are to free Giuseppe Palminteri from the Guardia, who has printing plates for the machine. The business seems to be doing well, but there is a rat. Corrado, Damiano's brother, has led the Guardia to the tannery to find the printing machine and cash. Luckily, Enzo is able to distract the Guardia, kill Corrado, and recover the cash. Sometime in 1907, the Baron visits Torrisi to inform him that one of his trusted men has organized a strike at his factory.
Lorenzetti is a friend, a trusted man. He's kept order there for years.
Seems things have changed, because it is he supposedly behind this strike.
Torrisi sends Enzo to find out why he would do this, but ends up finding him beaten half to death by Damiano, who chased the workers away to push Fontanella to work with Spadaro. Damiano shows up to be rid of Enzo, but is unsuccessful, and the fight causes the factory to burn down. A short while later, the day comes for Luca and Valentina to baptize their second child, with Torrisi being the godfather. After the ceremony, the family is posing for a photo when an assassin takes a shot at Enzo from the church's bell tower, revealing to be Damiano. Enzo makes his way up and chases down Damiano. As they fight, it seems Damiano has the upper hand.
This. And now! Yes!
But Luca appears to take the shot, ending him for good. With tensions rising, Don Galante, Torrisi, and Fontanella meet to discuss a truce between Spadaro and Torrisi. Bernardo has a hard time wanting to meet, but ultimately agrees. On the meeting day, everyone meets with Galante being the mediator. Spadaro reveals that Fontanella now works with him, leaving Torrisi with nothing.
Fontanella's the selling up, Torrisi. His estate in the mine, prospecting, and water rights on the east side of the valley, including his vineyard, which you've taken as your home. I'll offer market rate for your remaining holdings as a mark of respect.
Torrisi grows angry and Spadaro leaves, commanding his men to begin a shootout. Galante is the first killed and Luca takes a bullet to the stomach. Enzo guides Torrisi and Luca through the building. When they make it back to safety and check Luca, he slowly passes away with a warning to Enzo to get out when he has the chance. Torrisi sends Enzo to take off Fontanella and Spadaro during an opera performance. Before he leaves, Isabella berates him as she fears Enzo will die just like Luca, leaving her alone with their unborn child.
I'm pregnant. I need you here. With me.
Enzo is surprised but says he has no choice. Despite causing chaos, Enzo is able to kill Fontanella and Spadaro. As Enzo returns to the villa, he pays his respects to Luca and reconciles with Isabella, promising he'll forever stay by her side.
My father will never forgive me.
Then we leave together to America when the time is right.
Later on, Turisi has almost full control but has some loose ends to tie up. He also gives Enzo full control of the sulfur mine that he worked at, making him a capo regime. After taking care of the last 3 Spadaro underbosses, Enzo questions his morals while celebrating at the bar with the family. Leo takes Enzo to the side and gives him tickets to a boat that will take him and Isabella to Empire Bay. Enzo thanks him as Leo and Franco send a farewell to him and Don Galante.
Justice is ours. Here's to you, old man.
The next day, Enzo and Isabella arrive at the train station that will take them to where the boat will be, but are stopped on the platform. Tino reveals that the father told him that Isabella has been confessing about her and Enzo's relationship.
Why don't you call and tell us about your daddy and little secret? You broke your father's heart.
She's taken away as Enzo tries to fight back but is knocked out.
Enzo, I love you!
I'll find you! I'll find you!
When he awakens, he's being taken to the sulfur mine while defending his actions to Cesare. He walks Enzo to his new office where Turisi is waiting. Turisi beats him up and wants Cesare to do the same but thinks he's had enough. As they argue, the volcano near the mine begins to erupt. Remember the tremors that caused the mine to collapse in the beginning? Now it's reached full eruption, causing a distraction for Enzo to escape. He tackles Cesare out the window and they tumble down the slope. They then engage in a knife fight with Enzo having the upper hand but doesn't want to finish off Cesare.
You're my friend.
Enzo fights through Turisi's men and through the mine where Turisi is waiting. They end up in a fist fight, but Enzo is able to cause another cave-in, seemingly crushing Turisi. But when he gets out of the mine, Turisi crawls out and starts a knife fight, but Enzo stabs him in the gut. Cesare then shows up and says it's just him and Enzo now, and he's sorry.
I'm sorry.
He falls to the ground and takes his last breath, dying in the same place where it all started. At the villa, Isabella is to be taken to a doctor to remove her unborn child.
A car is on its way to take you to a doctor. Please, stay away.
But pleads with Tino not to. She attempts to escape, but the villa also experiences the volcanic eruption. She evades the mafiosos but is stopped by Tino. He tries to grab hold of her, but Isabella is able to stab and end him. She goes to prepare her horse to leave when Cesare drives up the gate. She asks where Enzo is and he shows her the boat ticket.
Where is Enzo? Where is he?
She knows this means Enzo is gone and Cesare tells her it's time to leave. Cesare stays and watches the villa as it burns. Isabella is then seen on a boat, reading Enzo's letter that promises her he'll protect her and their child.
I can't undo my past, but you help me to rise above it. And for that you have my love, my loyalty, forever, Enzo.
She sobs and smiles as she sees Empire Bay off the horizon. In 1930, we meet Thomas Angelo. Tommy was born in Sicily in 1900 to Marco and Maria Angelo, along with his siblings Marco Angelo Jr. and Isabella Angelo. After suffering from poverty in 1904, the family moved to Empire Bay in America but eventually settled in Lost Heaven. Marco Sr. worked at the harbor for 15 years until his death. Tommy also found work with a road crew where he built roads across the United States but got tired of the lifestyle and moved back to Lost Heaven as a struggling taxi driver. While on a break, 2 gangsters, Sam Trapani and Paulie Lombardo, hold him at gunpoint to help escape members of their rival, the Morello family. Tommy does so, zigzagging through the streets until they reach their boss's Don Ennio Salieri bar. Sam returns outside to Tommy with the envelope full of cash as compensation for the damage to his cab and one free favor from the Don.
Don't hesitate to ask. Don doesn't forget his friends.
And yes, this is the same Sam from 20 years ago, son of Luca and Valentina. Tommy is eventually tracked down by the Morello gangsters, destroying his cab and taking a few punches. Tommy is able to break free and runs to Salieri's bar to cash in that favor.
We ain't leaving empty-handed, that's for sure.
Well then, maybe you ain't leaving at all.
Tommy, along with Paulie, later tracked down Lou and Dino to exact his revenge and join Salieri's crime family.
Welcome to the family.
At first, he assists Sam and Paulie in collecting money from rackets. Paulie is shot and Sam injured, but they're able to escape and kill the guy. Over the next 2 years, Tommy becomes a made man and starts a relationship with the bartender's daughter, Sarah Marino, after protecting her on a walk home from a gang of street punks.
We'll let your boyfriend watch. What do you say?
We going to have trouble here?
Trouble started back when you tried to steal our girl, Chief.
When Salieri finds out, he orders Tommy and Paulie to retaliate against the gang, but learn that the leader they end up killing is son of corrupt city councilor Roberto Galati, now wanting revenge. Tommy is ordered to destroy a brothel which switched its loyalties to Morello and to kill a woman working there named Michelle. This is because she's been passing information about the family to Morello. Michelle is actually one of Sam's girls and wants Tommy to spare her, which he does after ordering her to never return to the city.
Get dressed and make tracks. This place is gonna blow soon.
Salieri also informs informs them that one of the thugs that they were supposed to be killed when taking out the counselor's son is alive. After the brothel bombing, Tommy heads to the church where Galati's funeral is being held, and where him and Sam kill the witness. Over the next year, Morello raises his efforts to dismantle Salieri's organization. One of these efforts is when he gets to Frank Coletti, Salieri's consigliere. Salieri finds out that Frank has disappeared with the family's account books and orders Tommy to kill him and get the books back. When he gets to Frank, Tommy learns that he went to the FBI for protection from fear of Morello after threatening his family. Tommy allows Frank and his family to leave the country in exchange for the books.
God damn you, Frank.
Tommy then aids in a deal with a whiskey magnate from Kentucky, which saves the Salieri family's fortune. Now 1935, Tommy has been promoted to capo regime for all the work he's put in helping the family. Speaking of family, he also marries Sarah and they have a daughter together. Salieri has also put the money in from the bootlegging into other rackets to appear more legitimate. Tommy then drives Salieri to his favorite restaurant since his usual driver called in sick. While inside, a hit squad shows up and shoots up the bar to kill Salieri.
Get down!
But Tommy is able to get him out alive. Salieri says it's not a coincidence that Morello knew where he'd be at the same time his driver Carlo called out sick. They track him down, give chase through the alleyway, and Salieri stomps Carlo to death. Meanwhile, Morello's brother Sergio, nicknamed Lucky, informs him that the hit squad on Salieri failed and he knew it was Carlo, beginning the open war between Morello and Salieri. Salieri plans to go after Galati. This will scare the police and politicians into abandoning Morello at his side. Later, Sam and Vinny are chasing Sergio, but he gets away. They plan to go after him since he does a lot of importing for Morello, and taking Sergio out will cause him to lose a lot of money. They plan to put a bomb in his car, which Tommy plants. Unfortunately, Sergio's wife comes out of the house and into the car. Before Tommy can try to stop her, the car blows up.
Oh, Christ. Hey! Stop!
Tommy then meets Polly and Sam at the restaurant where they spotted Sergio. Sergio escapes to the docks, but Tommy is able to fight through his men and burn him alive, putting an end to his lucky streak. Weeks go by and the two families are deep into war. Morello goes into hiding until he's scheduled to host a charity gala, giving Salieri a chance to kill him. It doesn't go to plan, but they eventually get him into an injured state and finish him, ending the war and making Salieri the boss of Lost Heaven. 3 years later, a governor is threatening to come down on Salieri's businesses. Tommy climbs an old prison tower and snipers him and escapes the oncoming police. The next morning, when talking to Sarah, they discuss the governor. Apparently, he was in an important position to help pass the 19th Amendment, giving all women in America the right to vote.
He gave me the right to vote, Tom. Gave it to his wife and 6 daughters, too.
This gives Tommy douse in living the life in Salieri's family. At the bar, Salieri informs the guys there are a load of cigars coming into the city that have been impounded by customs at the docks. Even though Tommy expresses that it seems small time, Salieri says the cigars are a cover for a shipment of diamonds. The feds haven't found them yet, so they need to hurry to get the cigars. On the way to the docks, Polly informs Tommy and Sam on a plan he's been working on.
Been thinking about hitting up a savings and loan downtown.
You want to rob a bank?
Sure. I've been casing the place for months. I got it all worked out. I just need a few guys I can count on to watch my back.
The pair object to it, as Salieri will probably never go for it, but Polly says maybe they shouldn't tell the Don, but they still aren't interested. The three steal a truck and sneak into the warehouse to find the cigars. On the way out, alarms go off and police try to stop them, but they get away. At Salieri's warehouse, one of the crates breaks open and they see what's inside one of the cigar boxes. Drugs. The one thing that Salieri said he'd never get into. Salieri lied to them and the men are annoyed that they almost died for a drug shipment. When he arrives, they act normal, but Polly seems more annoyed and this only reinforces his idea for the bank heist. On the train ride home, Tommy agrees to join Polly in robbing the bank. They eventually pull it off despite fighting guards and police. Polly takes the cash and tells Tommy to come to his place tomorrow morning for the split. The next day, Tommy tells Sarah that the family should go on a vacation, preparing to leave the city. At Polly's, the neighbors are talking about a commotion. When Tommy goes into Polly's apartment, he finds him dead and the cash gone. The phone rings and it's Sam. Tommy tells Sam that Polly is dead, and Sam says it's because Salieri found out about the bank job and had Polly killed.
I just need some cash to get me and the girls out of town. Can you swing that?
Sure. Anything, pal. You want me to come to Polly's?
No, I can't stay here. Meet me at the City Gallery.
At the City Gallery, Sam sets up Tommy by Salieri for his betrayal, and it was actually Sam who killed Polly. The betrayal is Salieri found out that Tommy let Frank and Michelle live, but he had Frank killed, and when Michelle returned to the city, after being ordered not to, had her killed too. Sam orders Salieri's men to kill Tommy.
Goodbye.
Don't let him suffer, boys. He's my buddy.
Tommy is able to kill them, however, and get to Sam. Sam mentions that Tommy will be living in constant fear and won't be able to hide for long. When he mentions Polly, Tommy kills him. Tommy hides out in Europe with his family, but soon returns to meet with Detective Norman. Tommy spills everything about the Salieri crime family in exchange for protection for him and his family. Tommy testifies against everyone he knew, sending 18 members to prison and Salieri to life. Tommy was sentenced to 8 years in prison for his involvement, a small price since they were all in prison, then Salieri won't be after his family in the future. In 1946, Tommy was released and him and his family moved to Empire Bay, where Tommy got a job as a cab driver under new identities. For now, this is where Tommy's story will stop. Even though this is a mobile port and is reportedly not canon, I think it would be nice to include it anyway. And before there's a war in the comments, there's reasons I agree with it not being canon to the main story, such as Henry Tomasino and Carlo Falcone already working together, the setting to be Empire City instead of Empire Bay, and the supposed canon ending where you'll see why soon. In 1938, right after Tommy betrays the family, we meet Marco Rossetto, nephew to Vincenzo, the family's weapons provider. He tells his nephew that things aren't going well for the family, it must flee to Empire City to avoid police trouble and to get revenge on Tommy. When Marco arrives in Empire City, he is to contact Henry Tomasino. However, when he gets to him, Henry is being attacked by goons, which Marco helps him out. While conversating over a drink, Henry tells Marco he'll introduce him to Carlo Falcone, who can help with finding Tommy after doing him a few favors. Marco works for the Falcone family and does favors like blowing up a luxury car that belongs to someone who owes Carlo money and stealing a police weapons stash. Carlo eventually trusts Marco after he robs the rival families, the Moretti's jewelry store, but still wants him to do more favors for him. On the next job, Marco steals back a cash stash from a thief that robbed a local brothel. A fellow pimp who told Marco the thief's whereabouts actually set him up and has him arrested. In prison, Marco meets with another inmate named Marcus, who he helps running drugs in exchange for a counterfeit discharge paper, which Marco uses to escape from prison and back to Empire City. He meets back up with Falcone in the family's casino and asks him to use his power to get him permanently discharged from prison. Carlo agrees, but only if Marco is able to blow up Frank Vinci's casino, another rival crime boss. Eventually, Marco gets word that Carlo kidnapped a man named Mauricio, who may know Tommy Angelo's whereabouts. He interrogates Mauricio at a slaughterhouse and is told to speak to Frank Vinci to get the information. Some of Vinci's men arrive to save Mauricio, but Marco is able to kill them all and escape. He then tells Carlo what happened and he wants Marco to take out Frank Vinci. This is where Marco has to make a choice. Marco is told by Frank to go to Empire City Cemetery and he'll find Tommy. Once there, Marco realizes he's been set up and surrounded by police, who end up shooting and killing Marco, ending his search for Tommy Angelo. If he kills Frank Vinci, which is the supposed canonical ending, Marco ends the dawn with a sniper rifle and reports back to Carlo. He informs Marco of the same information of Tommy's whereabouts, but this time at the cemetery, he's led by a red herring of the police department, Freddy Luzon. Marco orders Freddy to leave the city and he won't face any problems from the family if he does so quietly. Marco informs Carlo of the false information and that he's killed many men for nothing. Carlo still accepts him into the family and promises that one day the Falcone family will find Tommy Angelo. You're still watching? Well, I hope you liked the video and subscribed so you can continue to see more videos from the channel. Now back to the story. 7 years later, in 1945, we meet Vittorio Scaletta. Vito, along with his older sister Francesca, were born and raised in 1925 in Sicily by their parents Antonio and Maria Scaletta. They were in poverty, and just a few years later, Antonio decided they would move to America. They arrived by boat to Empire Bay, where Vito was mesmerized by the city. However, where they would live was the complete opposite.
I'd never seen anything filthier, more disgusting than our new shithole of an apartment.
Antonio would find work at a shipping dock by the same guy who arranged their immigration, but the little money he made mostly went to his alcohol addiction. Maria decided that Vito would have to go to school and learn English, where he met his lifelong friend Joe Barbaro. The pair would get into trouble for vandalism and petty theft. Unfortunately, while robbing a jewelry store display, they would be chased by police, but Vito would get caught while Joe got away. Vito had a choice of jail or join the war, which would be World War II. Right before Vito shipped out to the war, his father died in an apparent drowning. While on active duty in Sicily to take down Mussolini, Vito's squad was hit by flak and only 3 made it out. They would end up taking down some of Mussolini's soldiers until they got hit by a tank. Vito is eventually saved by the head of the Sicilian mob, Don Carlo, who used his influence to stop Mussolini's invasion. The Don status also held influence over Vito, starting his chase for that same power. A couple years later, Vito was shot and sent home on leave for a month. Joe picks up Vito at the train station and they share a drink at the bar. After learning that Vito has to go back to the military, Joe makes a phone call and informs Vito that he will be discharged with no questions asked. Vito thanks him and says he'll meet him tomorrow to pick up the discharge papers. Now at his mom's apartment, Vito embraces Frankie and his mom as they share a meal together and then head to bed.
It's a shame your papa didn't live to see this. He would be so proud, Vito.
The next morning, Vito finds out that his father left a debt from a loan shark now brought onto his sister and mother to pay back.
Right before he died, Papa borrowed money. A lot of money from a loan shark, thinking he'd get a better job and pay him back. We found out right after you left for the war.
He goes to Joe's where they go to pick up Vito's discharge papers. The one who fixed up the papers is Giuseppe, the same man who Enzo busted out of jail to help Torrisi print fake money.
This is Giuseppe, the best safecracker in Empire Bay.
Please.
Joe also helps Vito find work through Mike Bruschi, who Vito steals cars for, and Derek Papalardo, who Vito's father used to work for. Vito then meets Joe at Freddy's bar and is introduced to Henry Tomasino, working for Don Clemente. Henry tasks Vito to steal federal gas ration stamps and sell them to local gas stations. The next night, Joe and Vito rob a jeweler's store, who the owner is in debt to Clemente. During the robbery though, Irish gangster Brian O'Neill attempts to rob the same store. The group argue as police pull up to the store. Joe and Vito are able to escape.
Jesus, be careful. Almost lost it. Yeah, I think I just shit myself.
As they watch O'Neill and his boys get arrested. Again the next morning, Vito and Joe meet Capo Luca Guarino. Luca informs the pair that if they help Henry with the job, they will be accepted into the family as long as they pay the initiation fee.
$5 grand apiece.
That's a fortune.
Hey, nobody said it was cheap, huh?
The three head to a distillery to take down fat Sidney Penn, who wronged Clemente. However, Henry gets shot, causing Vito and Joe to execute Penn and drive Henry to El Greco.
The painter? No, the doctor, you idiot.
Easy.
Before heading in, Henry pays Vito for the job, giving him enough cash to be able to pay his father's debt. The following morning, as Vito heads outside, he's stopped by two detectives who arrest him for illegally distributing federal ration stamps, which Joe witnesses from his apartment. He calls Luca for help and is told that one of the gas attendants ratted on Vito. Joe goes to confront him and beat him up a bit, but the attendant tells Joe that someone named Richie Mazzio has gone to the DA to take down the whole operation. Joe goes to take him out and reports back to Luca. Unfortunately, Vito is still sent to prison for 10 years.
This court hereby sentences you to 10 years in a federal penitentiary.
Joe goes to Freddy's bar to confront Luca, which he doesn't take too kindly to. Joe gets a call from Henry to leave town and hide out for a while. In prison, Vito gets word from Joe to look for a guy named Leo Galante who can help him out. The same Leo that helped Enzo escape from Sicily. But he first comes across Brian O'Neill, still salty about getting caught at the jewelry store, and blames it on Vito and Joe. They scuffle for a bit until the guards break it up and throw Vito in the hole. Leo witnesses the fight and due to his status and influence inside, gets Vito out of the hole and trains him to fight while being under his protection. Vito also informs Leo that Clemente will let him and Joe into the family for $5,000 each, which Leo says is against the rules. Vito gets a visit from Francesca and is told that she's getting married and their mom is sick.
She's sick, Vito. She's been like this for weeks and she's not getting any better.
He tells her to get his money stashed at Joe's and use it to get their mom the best doctor she can find and use what's left as a wedding gift. After another fight, Vito is once again in the hole but receives a heartbreaking letter from Frankie.
Mama died while Francesca was visiting me. Instead of going toward a good doctor and a wedding gift, every penny I had went to the funeral.
Now out in the yard, it seems some of O'Neill's guys roughed up Leo's guy, Pepe, who was to fight O'Neill. Leo has Vito do the same to O'Neill, but when he brandishes the knife, Vito is forced to end him. Vito is relocated to Leo's cell for his protection, where he learns about the families in Empire Bay.
There's more than one family in Empire Bay. There's three. There's two other bosses besides Clemente. One is Carlo Falcone. The other is Frank Vinci. Carlo is young and ambitious, whereas Don Vinci is a man of honor. He respects the old ways.
He also reveals that he is consigliere to Frank Vinci, the man we saw in Sicily working the bar for the Galantes. While Vito serves time, Joe returns to Empire Bay while incognito, but is quickly found out by friend Tony Balsama. Tony gives Joe some work and eventually gets involved with the Falcone crime family by fellow member Eddie Scarpa, who also introduces Joe to the family's underboss, Rocco. He tells Joe if he does a couple of jobs for him, he'll be able to convince Luca to call off his hit on Joe. While relaxing at a local cat house, Rocco and his crew attempt an assassination on Don Carlo Falcone, wanting to take over the family for himself. Rocco shoots Carlo, but the Don survives. Joe chases Rocco to a construction building and promptly throws him off the roof. Carlo shows his appreciation by holding a meeting with Clemente and Luca to call off the hit, with a final "f*** you" to Luca. Now in 1951, Vito gets out after serving 6 years. After burying a stiff, exacting revenge on some greasers, and taking out Luca after he and Clemente kidnapped and tortured some of Carlo's guys, Vito and Joe take the Omerta and join the Falcone family.
Gentlemen, I give you our new friend, Vito Scaletta.
Since Clemente had Carlo's accountant, Tony Balls, and Frankie the Mick kidnapped, the pair are tasked to take him out. Joe's friend Marty drives them to the hotel where he'll be having a meeting with his top guys and plan a bomb in the boardroom while incognito.
So nobody recognizes us. Just put it on.
Unfortunately, the bomb gets everyone except Clemente. Joe and Vito chase him to the hotel parking lot where Marty took a bullet and is now dead. They eventually take out Clemente and head back to Joe's. Joe is so heartbroken about Marty dying. He was just a kid who wanted to be a gangster.
I'm sorry, kid. I am so sorry.
Later that night, he drinks himself drunk and Vito is called to pick him up and clean up his mess. The next day, Henry drops by Vito's wanting a job. He knows it was Vito and Joe who killed Clemente after seeing through their disguises.
But do me a favor, would you? Yeah, sure. Next time, get a better disguise than a phony mustache. I saw you two pricks from a mile away.
Henry is tasked by Eddie to take out Leo since they think Don Frank Vinci will come after them now. Vito is able to get ahead of him though, warn Leo, and drive him to safety to the train station where he said he'll hide out in Lost Heaven. Later that day, Vito has to rough up Francesca's husband after finding out he cheats on her and hits her, and has to take out the Irish after they burned his house down, since Vito killed the new leader's cousin, Brian O'Neill. The next morning, Vito meets Henry and Joe to discuss going into the dope business. Vito is hesitant since it's against the rules and doesn't want to be on Carlo's bad side, but eventually agrees. They visit a loan shark to borrow money, make a successful deal with the Chinese immigrants, despite some obstruction while leaving.
Wait a minute, these guys ain't cops? Kill the bastard! Shoot Vito!
And are able to distribute it across Empire Bay. After a few days, Vito picks up a call from Henry that Carlo found out about the deal, took a cut of the money, and now they don't have enough to pay back the loan shark. While going to meet Henry, they witness him getting sliced up by the Chinese. They take them out and find that the money Henry had is now gone. Vito and Joe then see the guy they made the dope deal with, Wong, fleeing the scene and follow his car back to a restaurant. As they interrogate him, Wong informs them that Henry was a rat and that's why his people killed him.
A contact inside the Federal Bureau of Narcotics told me that Henry Tomasino passed them information about our deal.
They don't want to believe it though, and Joe shoots Wong. The next day, Joe and Vito need to find out how to get the money for the loan shark. Joe picks up Vito for a job to take out someone from another city who wronged his family by snitching on them to the police. As they approach the destination, the target is none other than Tommy Angelo.
Mr. Angelo? Yes. Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
Tommy lays there dying around his family, uttering that they're now safe, ending Tommy's life and story. Vito heads to the docks to earn some money from Derek. He aids him in protesting dock workers when one of them recognizes Vito's name. Turns out Derek and Steve were responsible for Vito's father's death.
You're Scaletta's boy, ain't ya? Your dad used to talk about you all the time. You look just like him. But what are you doing working for this bastard? After what he did to your old man?
Shut your mouth right now. Don't listen to him, Vito. He's full of Come on, let's go.
Full of huh? That bastard killed your father, Vito. What?
Vito takes them out and steals Derek's safe money. Now with enough money, Vito heads to Joe's, but he doesn't answer. He finds out that some of Vinci's people picked him up. He heads to their bar and is knocked out. He then awakens next to Joe and they are interrogated by Vinci, since he knows it was them that caused the massacre in Chinatown. They deny, however, and are able to break free and escape, taking Joe to El Greco for his injuries. With the deadline approaching, Vito heads to the loan shark and pays off his debt, where he learns a little more about who the loan shark is.
I know a Scaletta once, but I must say, you're much better at paying back your debts than he was.
So it was you who lent my father the money?
Your father. Ah, like father, like son.
The next morning, Vito is picked up by Leo and his friend Mr. Chu. Vito has caused massive problems for the family and Carlo wants him taken out, but Leo gives him a deal.
You're gonna get rid of Carlo. Do us all a favor.
And if I refuse?
You die.
Vito heads to the observatory, shoots through his former friends, and comes face to face with Falcone and his best friend. Vito and Joe instead work together to take down Falcone and end him once and for all.
For the last 10 years, all I'd done was kill. I killed for my country. I killed for my family. I killed anybody that got in my way. But this one's for me. Prick.
As they leave, Leo and his men are waiting outside and decide to celebrate. Joe's car takes a turn and Vito wants to know what's going on.
Sorry, kid. Joe wasn't part of our deal.
Leaving Joe's fate and Vito's story unknown for now. Even though the Jimmy DLCs are not canon or part of the main story, I'll include them for completion's sake. Jimmy works as a hired gun and cleanup man.
Hey, somebody's gotta do it.
He does some work for Don Sal Gravina and Tam Brody, who both run their own gangs and are at war with each other. After doing a job for Gravina, he's surrounded by police. He tries to escape but is caught and sentenced to 15 years in prison. While inside, Jimmy orchestrates a riot and uses this as a cover to escape from the prison and back to Empire Bay to plot his revenge on Gravina and Brody. Jimmy takes down Gravina's capos, consigliere, accountant, and any rackets that he's involved in. Jimmy ends up taking down the organization at the docks and Gravina while he's cornered at the lighthouse. Jimmy then uses the same method to take down Brody. He then takes down Brody's men at the forge and the man himself, saving him for last. Jimmy then focuses on corrupt Judge Hillwood, who was working with Gravina and Brody to send him to prison. Jimmy storms the judge's mansion, killing his guards and Hillwood as he sets his house on fire and puts a bullet in him. In 1968, we meet Lincoln Clay in New Bordeaux. Lincoln was born in 1945 and soon abandoned by his mother. She was Dominican, but no one knows for sure who his father was.
I always figured his father was white, maybe even Italian. Not that it mattered. Back then, if you look black, you black.
Lincoln grew up in St. Michel's orphanage until it closed down in 1958, where he was taken in by Sammy Robinson, his wife Perla, and their son Ellis. In 1964, Lincoln decided to fight in the Vietnam War, despite Sammy's protests. Lincoln assured him, though, that he needed to do this to find himself. In Vietnam, Lincoln served in the 223rd Infantry, then the Special Forces in 1966, in a covert task where he met John Donovan and became close friends. Lincoln eventually returns to New Bordeaux and is picked up by Ellis. They drive back to Sammy's bar where a party is thrown for Lincoln's safe return.
Welcome home, son.
The next morning, Lincoln learns of the Haitians causing problems for the people in the Hollow and ends up taking out their leader, Baca. He then meets with Sal Marcano, leader of the Italian mob, who Sammy is in debt to. This is also where we see Vito once again. After taking out Falcone and thanks to Leo, he was not killed but exiled to New Bordeaux, where Leo had ordered Marcano to make him a lieutenant and give him some rackets. Sal, along with his son Georgie, talked to Lincoln about a heist they're planning to rob the money kept at the Federal Reserve. Vito's part in the robbery is fronting the money to be able to help in the disguise of Lincoln and Georgie as workers, as well as getting a hold of the combination to the vault. Sal thinks there should be new leadership in the Hollow, but Lincoln declines.
I'm talking about you. I want you to run the Hollow. I can't do that.
Lincoln meets back up with friend Danny Burke and his father Thomas, who are also in on the heist as knowing a route through the sewers to escape, and they're drilled to cut through the bottom of the vault to throw the money down. On the night of the robbery, they run into some trouble but are able to escape the police and make it back to Sammy's. The money is split up as Sal and Georgie enter to collect their cut. The team begins to celebrate, but the Marcanos quickly end it.
There was something, Lincoln. You're possibly the baddest motherfucker I ever laid my eyes on. You shouldn't have said no.
Lincoln is conscious enough to witness Danny, Ellis, and Sammy being executed. Georgie sets fire to the bar, but Father James arrives and is able to save Lincoln, who notifies him to call John Donovan. After a few months recovering, Lincoln begins to plan his revenge. He is able to recruit Vito, Thomas Burke, and Cassandra, who is the real leader of the Haitians and used Baca as a scapegoat, and who all three have their own score to settle with Marcano. Lincoln meets with all three of them to discuss taking down the lieutenants, capos, and each district in the city. While taking down Marcano, Lincoln has other problems to deal with, such as taking down racist Sheriff Slim Beaumont and his corrupted brigade, helping Donovan deal with the past thorn in his side, and taking down a cult preying on the lonely and weak in the city. Along the way, Lincoln learns that another reason Sal wanted to hit the Federal Reserve was to steal money placed so he could print counterfeit cash.
I thought you knew. On account of robbery.
Sal also wants to build a casino across the lake so he can go legit. Lincoln disrupts his progress by taking out prominent investors in the building of the casino, causing Sal to grow more heated. While it's just Marcano left by himself, Lincoln makes his way to the casino where he stabs Georgie in the gut.
It was never about us. About my old man. My father. I'd do anything for him. Same as you and Sammy.
And throws Sal out his window after sharing a drink together.
I'm gonna be waiting for you, Lincoln Clay. This won't be the last time we see each other.
I know.
As Lincoln walks out, cars pull up and out walks Leo Galante. Leo explains to Lincoln that if he wants to continue his business in New Bordeaux, he's to kick up the same percentage that Sal previously paid to the commission, or he can choose to walk away from it all. As a side note, as Leo leaves, we notice the driver looks eerily similar to Joe Barbaro. He gives Lincoln a look, but to me, that look is to us, the players from the developers, letting us know that yes, Joe is still alive, despite Vito thinking that he was killed sometime after Mafia II. Don't believe me? Well, here's a previous tweet from the Mafia developers. Anyways, Lincoln heads back to the church to give John and Father James the news. After this, there are a few choices we can make. The bad ending is when Lincoln decides to stay in the city but roll alone. He meets with his associates but kills them off. As he leaves in his car, the engine won't turn over and causes an explosion. In a later interview, Father James explains that he was behind it.
I realized that he was no different from Sal Marcano, so I put a bomb under his car.
The ending that's neither good or bad is when Lincoln stays in the city and rules with his associates. He ends up spending his wealth and influence all over America. Unfortunately, takes on different addictions and vices, turning him into just another Sal Marcano, which Father James warned him about. The good ending is when Lincoln decides to leave the city. He travels across the states becoming a drifter, working any job he can. He still sends postcards to Father James, updating him on his adventures. Depending on who Lincoln has favoritism towards, either Vito, Burke, or Cassandra will take his place in New Bordeaux.
Someday, he's going to get tired of running or make a mistake, and I'll be waiting. I promise you that.
This is the end of the Mafia series for now. We've seen every character live, betray, and pay the price of the Mafia. Hopefully soon we'll see another installment where we can play as Enzo, Tommy, Marco, Vito, Lincoln, or someone new to join the Mafia family. You can also check the description for my gameplays to the Mafia games, as well as my other social medias to connect with me. But for now, my name is Heathen, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.